know what this is, right? um, I thought you sent out a thing every week you send it? Because if somebody missed the one day 2 weeks ago, then they wouldn't know. So Tuesday to Friday, we have Bhagavatam, starting from the beginning. Not one verse a day, but reading as far as we can go each day. We're in the middle of the third chapter. Agyanam timirandasya gyananjana salakaya chaksurun militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya. Vasanti, can you please make the hour more of this? I know, but I sound the same with and without it. But with my voice difficulty, I need to so I can speak softer. Yang pravarjantam anupetam upeta krityam Vaipayan Virahat Parvajuhava Putreti Tanmayataya Taro Ganedu Sansarvabhuta Vilayam Munimanatu Sri Bhatyamina Aparadha Lakshay Chiptasya Kamadi Tarangamadhi Kripamaitam Sharanam Prapadyam Vrinde Namaste Sharanarvindam Tavaivasmi Najivami Tam Vina Iti Vidyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Sharanantike. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad. Asto to the Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. And the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev. Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad. Asto to the Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, to our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, to all of his divine associates, and to all the lovely assembled devotees. We're continuing today with our study of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're almost finished with chapter 3 of first canto. Just a quick review, a whirlwind quick review. First chapter takes place in Naimisharanya, the hub of the universe, where the 88,000 sages, headed by Shonaka, are inquiring from the sage Sutta Goswami. They first glorify the reason why he's qualified to be their Gurudev, and then they ask 6 questions. What is the absolute and ultimate goal for the people in general? What activity would one engage in order to fully satisfy the soul? What is the essence of all revealed scriptures, since there are so many with diverse instructions? What is the reason that Krishna appeared from the womb of Devaki? What are his glorious activities that he and Baladev performed? What are the activities of his magnanimous and magnificent incarnations? Where did religion take shelter when Krishna returned to his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Chapter 2. Sutta Goswami first offered obeisances to his Gurudev, and that is Sukadeva Goswami, and to four personalities, as many devotees begin their Bhagavatam class by reciting that same verse. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam daivim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam dhirayat. Before uttering the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very means of conquest, I first offer my obeisances to Lord Narayan, the sage Narayan Rishi, to the goddess of learning, Saraswati, and finally to Vyasadeva, the author. Then he glorifies the questions of the sages because they're perfect, because they pertain to the world's welfare. Then he begins with the famous verse, Save Pulsa Paro Dharma. That is the supreme occupation for humanity, is that by which one is engaged in unmotivated and uninterrupted service to the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is known as Adhoksaja, who is transcendental to the senses. Only such unmotivated and uninterrupted service can fully satisfy the soul. Then he begins to glorify devotional service, how it relieves one of the lower modes of passion and ignorance, elevates one to the mode of pure goodness, at which time one is not disturbed by the labyrinth knot reactionary work, and he becomes liberated. Then he also discusses the three deities, principal deities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and those deities of creation, maintenance, and destruction, and how if one wants the ultimate benefit, then one will worship Lord Vishnu. What to speak of not worshiping, though the predominating deity of the mode of passion and ignorance, especially one rejects the ghastly forms of the demigods like Kali and Durga, and worships only the Lord of the mode of goodness, Lord Vishnu. Just as if one wants to do a fire sacrifice, then it is earth, but better than earth, superior to earth is the wood. Superior to the wood is the smoke, and superior to the smoke is fire. Similarly, of all personalities, the best is the fire. That is Lord Vishnu. Then he begins the third chapter by speaking about I believe he's already mentioned that place where religion took shelter after Krishna departed is the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, he said, is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Krishna for his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc. Those who are suffering in the dense darkness of ignorance of the age of Kali can get light from this Purana. So the whole third chapter, from the beginning, is about the incarnations of the Lord, starting from Purusha incarnations, that is, Karanadakshay Vishnu, who breathes in and out the universes, who's a fourth removed plenary portion of Krishna. And then he expands into Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and then into Kiradakshay Vishnu. And then he proceeds to enumerate various incarnations, like the fish, the tortoise, Lord Nrsingadev, Kalki, Buddha, Vamandev, Parsuram, and so on. So now, today we're up to the 17th incarnation, and this is verse 21. Tata sapta dase jata satyavatyam asana chakre veda taro saka dristva bhuso tatame rasa. Thereafter, in the 17th incarnation of Godhead, Sri Vyasadeva appeared in the womb of Satyavati through Parasara Muni, and he divided the one Veda, which was impossible for anyone in Kali Yuga to understand, into several branches and sub-branches, saying that the people in general were less intelligent. And as Srila Gurudev said about Vyasadeva, without Vyasadeva, everything would have been nothing, no Vedic knowledge. Even our Goswamis, they base their Goswami literatures on the Vedic knowledge. The 18th incarnation, let's go with Sanskrit. Naradeva Tvamapanna Sura Karya Kirshaya Samujane Grahadini Chakre Hataram. In the 18th incarnation, the Lord appeared as King Ram. In order to perform some pleasing work for the demigods, he exhibited superhuman powers by controlling the Indian Ocean and then killing the atheist king Ravana, who was on the other side of the sea. So first there's the questions, and then the next couple of chapters, as we're in now, discuss in, when you say, a compressed cotton, the answers. And gradually, as the cantos evolve, we'll fluff out the cotton more and more. For example, Vyasadeva is discussed elaborately, starting from the 5th chapter of the first canto for a couple of chapters. And then he's mentioned in various other places. Ram will be discussed elaborately in the 9th canto, and the others in their various cantos, like the boar incarnation in the 3rd canto. He gets at least a chapter. Ekonaving says Vimsatime Vrishni Janmani Ramakrishna Vitati Bhuvo Bhagavan Radvaram. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord himself advented as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vishnu. And that's the entire 10th canto when it's expanded. And by doing so, he removed the burden of the world. Vitakalo sampurvate samohaya survisham budho nam nam sutta kikiteshu vishyate. In the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful theist. So previously, they were past. Now he's speaking about the future. This Lord Buddha appeared around 2,500 years later, after the Bhagavatam was spoken. And then what is the purpose? And even who his parents are. Everything is there in the Bhagavatam. Atasau yuga sanjaya dashu prayeshu rajasu janita vishnu jasasho namna jagatpati. Thereafter, at the conjunction of the 2 yugas, what is that? Kali Yuga, when it's at its pits, and then Satya Yuga, the yuga of goodness coming up. Thereafter, at the conjunction of the 2 yugas, Lord of the creation will take birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Jasha. At this time, almost all the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers. Isn't it already starting? And it's only 5,000 years into the age, and there's 427,000 years to come. Can't even imagine how the rulers are going to be. I'm sorry, Kalki is the incarnation that comes in slices, yeah, at the end of Kali Yuga. And then another Satya Yuga is issued in. No, we have previous Kali Yugas. But he's not coming in this Kali Yuga. Because this Kali Yuga is Tanya Kali. What's a Mahaprabhu? It's Blessed Kali. Oh. Avatara Hisaskeya Parisatva Nidevdvija Yata Vidasina Kuya Sarasasus. So poetic language of the estate. O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. So that's how many incarnations he has, like rivulets. Yeah. Yeah. Not to my knowledge. It could be, but not to my knowledge. Krishna and Balaram are the 19th and 20th, although they're the original. Vyasa is the 17th. So I don't know why. Unless, wait, I do know why. It's chronological. First, there was the Purusha avatars. They, Mahavishnu breathed out the universes. You have to have a universe for the one to appear in. Then Garbhodaksha Vishnu, who lies down in each universe, and Brahma creates all the planets and a lot of other things, like Varnashram Dharma and the oceans and sages, a lot of his arms and his deliberation, his head. Kumaras are born from his mind. And then Kiradaksha Vishnu, the super soul. And then we start with the fish, tortoise, the fish, the tortoise, the boar, the Shringadev. So the last one is Kalki. 27. Rishayo Manavo Deva Manuputra Hasta Mahaujasa Kalasar Sorve Harer Eva Supraja Smita. All the rishis, manus, demigods, and descendants of Manu, who are especially powerful, are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis, who are the progenitors who populate the universe. Not with one child, because our father, but billions. Now, this is the most important verse. Ete Jamshakala Punsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Juge Juge. All of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna, this is one of the important evidences that Krishna is the source of all incarnations. He's not just the 20th incarnation, or he's not the 8th incarnation of Krishna, like some so-called scriptures or teachers say. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance among the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect this. That has a long purport. 29. Janmaguyam Bhagavato Ya Etat Prayato Nara Satyam Pratorganam Bhaktya Dukkha Grama Uchate. Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearances of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening gets relief from all miseries of life. Etad rupam bhagavato yarupasya chiratmanam maya gunar virachitam mahadavya. The conception of the Virat, universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form. So the form that Krishna showed Arjuna in the 11th chapter of the Gita was just special occasion. Really, the universe, it's not that the sun is the one eye of the universal form and the moon is another eye and the clouds are his hair, as described in the second canto of the Bhagavatam. It's an imaginary form that people think that God is impersonal. So let's start them out by saying, no, the universal form is the form of God. Yatana vasime gau Reno vapone evam drastaridrasatvam aropitam mahudivi. Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and that the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit soul. Now, what does that mean? Let's try that again. Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but the air is not cloudy or dusty. But less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy. It's just that the sky carries the clouds, but the sky is not cloudy. And the air is not dirty, it carries the dirt, the dust. Similarly, let's see a little bit of that purple, because I don't really get it yet. It is further confirmed, this is the purple, that within our material eye, with our material eyes and senses, we cannot see the Lord who is spirit. We cannot even detect the spiritual spark that exists within the material body of the living being. We look to the outward covering of the body or subtle mind of the living entity. We cannot see the spiritual spark within the body. So we have to accept the living being's presence by the presence of the gross body. I know Mangala is here because her body is. Similarly, those who want to see the Lord by their present material eyes or with the material senses are advised to meditate on the gigantic feature, that's it, of the universal form of the Lord. Text 32. Atak param yada vyaktam avyudha guna brahmitam adrista shuta vastu pat sajivo narvala. Beyond this gross conception of form is another subtle conception of form, which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety. Otherwise, he could not have repeated births. Yatre me sarasad rupe pratiside sambhida avidyamanatmani kripe iti darshanam. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time, he sees himself as well as the Lord. Yadyayeso parata devi maya vaishanti mati sampana evati vedur mahimni svayate. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization, becomes situated in his own glory. Opposite, third canto purport, Prabhupada says that it may even be in the verse. The living entity, the soul, is embarrassed by non-manifestation. You think I'm embarrassed by this or that. But I'm embarrassed because of this plus covered by plus and what. Sorry, that's the end. Or prima. What? Someone else can read. Very good point. So, would somebody like to take a seat here and just turn the computer? Huh? Nice you. Yep.
Evam Janani Karmani Yakartur Janasya Paramayanti Svaya Veda. Thus, learned men describe the birth and activities of the unborn and inactive, which are undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. 36. Savajam Vishwamo Galila Shri Jagati Ratina Sajatisne Bhuteshu Chantarita Patantra Sarvajam Jivati Sadhunisha. The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universes, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and is always independent. Text 37. Tajasya kaschini pune tatur avaiti jantu shalati Namani rupani manochovi santan vato natachanivaya. The foolish, with a poor fund of knowledge, cannot know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in a drama. Nor can they express such things, neither in their speculations nor in their words. Yeah. Savira tatu padani parasya durantayasya ratangapani yomaya santata vajitata sarojuranda. Only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and transcendence. "39. Ante tadanya bhagavanta hitam yadvasudeve kilalokanate kurvanti sarva bhakamatma bhava nayachavuya parivantaluka." Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant, for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love into the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantee cent per cent immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. Word immunity. 40. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Santam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakravanshi Nishayasya Lokasya Danyam Swastika Mahat. This scripture, named Srimad Bhagavatam, is a literary incarnation of God and is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. '41. Taditam kaya sha sutam param saram sudritam. Shri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who was the most respected among the self-realized, after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. 22. Satu sam pasha mahajam chitam kaya pashtam ganyayam paritam ashri. Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink. 3. Krishna Swadamo.
Krishna Swadharma Pagate Dharma Gyanadi Saha Kalona Sadrishamesha Puranarko Dinoditaha. I'm sorry, I made a mistake in saying that this verse came before, but it's coming now. And the number is, let's all memorize it, 1343. Got that? 1343. What's the verse number? Okay, this is the answer to the question, the last question of the sages, which is, now that Kali Yuga has begun and Krishna has departed to his own abode, accompanied by knowledge, religion, etc., where did knowledge and religion, etc., take shelter? So this Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun. And when my god sister Mulabakriti asked our Srila Prabhupada, can you tell me one thing I can tell the people when I'm distributing the books? He said this verse to tell them. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Tacha kirtayato viprasher bhuri tejasa aham chadye gaman tatra vivistastadanugrahat soham bhastravas yatadi tam yatavati. Oh, learned brahmanas. Who are the learned brahmanas? Sages of Naimisharanya. When Sukadeva Goswami recited Bhagavatam there, in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention. That was my qualification. I heard him with rapt attention, and thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage. Now, I shall try to make you hear the very same thing as I learned it from him and as I have realized it. So he's introducing the fourth chapter, which we will start tomorrow. Fourth chapter will be setting the scene because the sages are going to be asking, okay, how did it all begin? How did they meet? What happened? So we'll find out tomorrow. Are there any questions? We have 5 minutes. Sorry? I have a lot of stupid answers, so it's gonna be fine.
Well, I'm just wondering, so Mars Forgive was first to die in 7 days.
Can you come here and say that? I knew she would say that.
So
I'm just gonna have to repeat. Save me that.
Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days. It was a blessing.
Can you all hear? No.
So, but he didn't actually really leave his body, right?
Why not? Why didn't he leave his body?
Well, because then he speaks to his mother.
Very good question. That's a very intelligent question. So Basanti is asking, so Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days by the bite of a snake bird. And that's a whole interesting episode of how they tried to get the snake bird to not bite him, and very interesting things happened by the way. So how is it that after Maharaj Parikshit, heard the whole Bhagavatam from Sukadeva Goswami, how did he then speak the Bhagavatam in summary to his mother, Uttara? That's the question, right? So that means he didn't really die from the bite of the snake bird, is your question. So I want to get more details, which we can present tomorrow from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, which begins where Maharaj Parikshit is, how it goes from him to Janmejaya and all. There's even a painting in there done by Gohari Prabhu of Parikshit Maharaj speaking to Uttara. And the essence of those verses being the Bhakti Rasayan, which is another book. So we'll discuss some details tomorrow, but suffice it to say for now that, yes, he wasn't actually bitten by the snake bird. He left his body of its own, and he entered into the assembly of the gopis. So he was even more exalted, we did explain, than his teacher, Sukadeva, was a parrot. He was actually a gopi. So this is their Nara Lila together. We have 2 minutes left. Any last question? But I will look into that. In fact, I'll ask you to look into it at the beginning of the book and then show me what you found, and we'll discuss it tomorrow. Any question? Yes, loud. So let me see if I understand the question. Vinodini is asking, why would Krishna, who's the original personality of God, why would he choose to be the 20th incarnation? Why not come at any other time? That's the question. It is foretold in the scriptures that in a particular Manvantara, there are 13 Manvantara, like Manvantara is like an emperor of a universe. And there are 13 in the day of Brahma. So you can imagine how, and Brahma lives for trillions and trillions and trillions and billions and zillions of years. So there are 13 in a day of Brahma. You can imagine how long they live. And so in the 28th Manvantara, the Vaivasvata Manu, he's the 28th. And at a certain time of Brahma's day, it's foretold that he's going to come at that time. That's when he chooses to come. And then soon after him, not in every Kali Yuga, Krishna only comes once in a day of Brahma. Very, very rare. So how fortunate are we that we're only 5,000 years later. And then in the same Brahma's day, once in the day of Brahma, Charim Acharat, he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's only 500 years ago. And then this direct disciplic succession from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was coming and still extant in contemporary years. So we're very fortunate that. So that time, the 20th, is when that time period and when he chose to come. He wanted to come at the beginning of Kali Yuga. And he wanted all this Bhagavatam to come after him. And it's all his design. And he prepared, I don't know how he prepared. If I was God, I would have done it completely differently. Prepared, by having so many incarnations coming before him. And then he's also one of the Das avatars. He comes as the 8th. There's 10 avatars, like in the coloring book. The 10? Mm-hmm. So it starts with the chronological. And also he comes in various species. And so the species are evolving also, starting from fish. And Mukunda Prabhu from Alachua, he gives classes on the whole philosophy of why he comes in different species and how he gives more. Each time he comes in a more developed form. Then there's Krishna and then there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I could ask Asante if you could ask him for a link to one of those incarnation classes. Right, super. Another good question. Your people are thinkers, sages. All right, so Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Krishna Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Sutta Goswami Ki Jai, Sages of Naimisharanya Ki Jai, Vyasdeva Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Premanandi. Hare Krishna.